Hello, my name is Burcu Avci, and today I am going to present you the results of our latest study with my co-author Sungu Esen. The name of the study is Country-Level Sustainability and Cross-Border Banking Flows. But before starting it, I would like to say a few words about the importance of country-level ESG factors because they are really important and that's what we use in our analysis. Let's start with the two approaches in corporate governance. The first approach is the basic shareholder approach, as we all know, whose goal is to maximize the shareholder wealth. This approach is easier to implement because there is only one maximization problem and the restrictions are limited to this problem. So the company management doesn't have to worry about social, environmental or government responsibilities. Its sole goal is just to maximize the shareholder wealth. On the other hand, since 1980s, we have the stakeholder approach, which is harder to implement because the management first needs to determine the main stakeholders and then needs to understand their goals or their needs or desires and then should try to satisfy their desires. And that's really hard because there are many stakeholders. So there are many maximization problems here. That's complicated. In order to apply this approach, the management needs to find a tool that would help it or that would facilitate the application. At this point, we have got the firm-level ESG scores. Firm-level ESG scores serve as a tool to implement the stakeholder approach. And again, as we all know, there are three pillars in firm-level ESG scores, or all the ESG scores overall: environmental, social, and governance pillars, and there are many factors under these pillars. However, those ESG scores are not without problems. There are certain problems. First of all, companies are not obliged to disclose their sustainability approach or sustainability investments. And their disclosures doesn't have to be standard. Hopefully this problem will be solved with the help of governments and non-governmental institutions. And another problem is that there are multiple score providers which look at different factors or which give different weights to the factors. So the scores of different score providers can be inconsistent, and using these different rates are very hard for researchers because the results will be different in each time. So there are problems with these firm-level ESG scores, but there are also country-level ESG scores. And their nature is the same as the firm-level ESG scores. But I can say that country-level ESG scores are more consistent because there are less countries than number of firms, and their activities are limited and there are less score providers. Some studies claim that country-level ESG scores are better to use in financial research. And they are usually similar to firm-level bond ratings versus country-level bond ratings. How we can use these scores in financial research is summarized here. Firm-level scores are of course used in firm-level analysis and country-level scores are used in country-level analysis. So in our study we do the second one. We run a country-level analysis and therefore we use country-level scores. And nowadays there is a third lead which use country-level scores in firm-level analysis because country-level scores affect firms as well, and therefore they are very good moderating or mediating variables in financial research. I think that's very innovative. But in this study we didn't use it. So here is our study, International Banking Flows and Country-Level Sustainability Scores. What we did in this study is we tested if a country's ESG scores positively affect international banking flows towards this country. To do that, we used 26 developed countries for a 12 years analysis frame, and we used a number of statistical techniques in order to come over the robustness issues and endogeneity issues and find a causality between the variables. And again, we use country level scores. Our findings indicate a positive relationship between country-level ESG scores towards international banking flows. As I said, there is a causality. Here you see our dynamic OLS regression results between sustainability and banking flows, and you see that in all specifications they are all positive and significant at the 1% level. There are more tables in our paper, and if you want to see it, I am happy to send you. Just send me an email and I'll provide you the paper. What we found is international flows increased by $15.5 billion if a country's sustainability score increases by 0.05 in the last year. Well, increasing a country's ESG score is not easy. I know that because country-level projects are very large. However, if countries can achieve this, the banking flows towards their country will increase by 15.5% in the next year, and that's a huge number. That's a huge equity for their real sector firms. This banking flows will be consumed by the real sector firms. And we explain this phenomenon that country-level sustainability score is a signal to reduce the information asymmetry between the two countries, between the firms and the fund providers. So the country-level ESG scores will serve as a signal that shows the institutional quality or reliability, trustability, honesty of the firms in that country to the other country or to the fund providers. We say that country-level ESG scores are also very important for firms, not only for countries. And also our results show that investments in environmental sustainability is more important than investments in social and governmental sustainability results. So here you see that the environmental sustainability coefficient is higher than governance and social sustainability coefficients. Lastly, I'll say that it's not important only for countries but also for firms in a country to increase the country-level sustainability scores, and we see that governmental efforts positively support businesses. So governments should increase their sustainability scores in order to support their businesses, and probably in turn firms can support their governments by creating some projects that would increase country-level sustainability scores as well. That's the takeaway from our study. And this is my presentation. Thank you for listening to me.